Greetings, Nimrod. So, July 2023, quick video tour of the cabin here. Oddly enough, there was water running in the stream in July. It's usually not the case. Big porcupine skull I found on the first little walk I took when I got there. But the main reason we're there is to remodel this kitchen. Bad picture of the before picture. And found some treasures underneath there, taken apart the shelves. Had to move the oven over about 8 inches to make all this fit. So I had some cereal boxes from early 2000s, pretty old cereal, 2004, used by date on some of them. And of course my water bottle collection. At some point I got to recycle these. They're building up. Yeah, we'll go back up there at some point, recycle them. So there's the after picture. It took all day to get the oven moved over and get those cabinets fit in there, but it's nice. We have drawers, and it was raining all day. It was a good day to do it. So the next morning the stream was really running. And, for July, that's a lot of water in the stream. And a lot of rain brings out the porcupines. So we have a porcupine that lives under the cabin, and here he comes. He's a funny guy. He tends to grumble and make a lot of noise. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it in this video, him grumbling, but he does grumble. I think maybe that's why they call him porcupines, because it sounds a little bit like a pig. Didn't seem too bothered by me watching him. Usually when I see him, it's at night. But again, the rain seems to get these guys moving. It was interesting. We always knew we had one living under there, but what we didn't know was that there may be more than one living under there. Because a little while later, looked out the window and come tumbling up the hill was another one, a little guy. As you can see, we also made a window screen for the window yesterday, which is nice. That big window. Here he comes. And this guy was not as docile, let's say. He puffed right up when he realized he was being videoed. Porcupines don't like having the picture taken, apparently. Usually when I see these things, they're way up in trees, slumbering away. And that's about as fast as they move, too. My old dog Pick one time decided while grouse hunting to lay into one, and I had to spend about 15 minutes with a Leatherman, and the dog rolled over on his back pulling the quills out of his face, and about half an hour later he chased another one. There he is, little guy. So went for a walk. There's an interesting burl. Too bad I didn't catch this one earlier. It's a little bit punky. It's a pretty spectacular one. Thought this was a deer from a distance because of the reddish color, but again, it closer is just some interesting fungus on an interesting branch. Big grub. Thought it was interesting that it had spots like a spotted salamander. Some lungwort on a ash tree. A big old wagon wheel, or more likely a barrel stay. So one of the other goals of this trip was to identify basswood. So these are pictures of what I think are basswood trees. And I've had trouble identifying them in the past because it's usually in the fall when the leaves are down, and definitely would not be able to identify them without the leaves. They have these really large leaves on them. So I think these are basswoods. We'll confirm, and eventually we'll cut them all down and turn them into things. More boring basswood pictures. So I think this is a basswood. And it's right on the road. And there's plenty of other fun stuff. That's a big ash, maple, ash, and you can see in there's plenty more. Plenty of big ashes and maples in there. But right on the road.
ash, ash. Not sure what that is. It's a little poplar of some kind. I think it might be ironwood mixed in with a bunch of ashes. All 12, 16, 20 inch. And that big boy back there is a maple. That would be, not even sure that Noel could do that one. Ash, ash, ash. Tons more ash. These guys are all the upper limit too. These guys are big. Probably 24 inches at the base. Maple, nice big maple right on the road. It's a big boy for that mill. Maples, 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 maples with burls. More ash, big ash. And this is just right on the road, and this goes down to the stream, and it's consistently like this for about 200 yards.
So we have more than ash trees. This is a nice big pine tree, probably 30 inches at the base. And these suckers, there's a different one here, it's equally as large. They're, throughout the property you find these big things, and then there's areas where there are groves of them, essentially not really dense forest, but groupings of, I think there's one area where I counted like 60 within one, so we're one grove. This is one of those groves, and you have to look for them, because in the fall when the leaves are off the trees, it would be much more obvious that these, they're spaced, I don't know, 50, 60 feet apart. But there's a bunch of big pines in here, and these are all probably 16 to 30 inch at the base, 60 to maybe 120 feet tall. Usually we're deer hunting or trying to follow a dog, so we don't really have time to stop and take pictures, but this is a little clearing on the opposite side of the property. There's a road on the opposite side, and I'm looking at the basswood trees here. There's a grouping of basswood trees right over the spot our neighbor had cleared out a camp. This is the road, a little dip in the road there. And so we cleaned up the cabin. There's our new chair. And cut one tree down for bringing a few logs home to experiment with. Left the rest there for firewood. Packed up the truck and headed back. Just a quick trip to get those cabinets installed.